Here at Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan, we like to talk about Bears. They're the greatest football franchise on earth. Unfortunately, a lot of you haven't reached that conclusion yet. So you waste your time following and rooting for other teams and shows up in the comments. So I feel like we have to talk about the greater NFL. Around April 2026, the NFL world watched as Shador Sanders fell from round one all the way down to round five. And it created this narrative that Shador was somehow sabotaged, that teams were punishing Shador, that the guy that we see at Colorado that dazzled sports fans was being mistreated by the NFL, that he deserved to be mentioned amongst the Travis Hunters and Cam Wards and Mason Graves, the guys at the top of the draft. I had a different opinion, and a lot of you all were not kind to me for that different opinion. Around that time, I suggested, watch what Shador. I don't think he's a first round pick. I think this guy has a talent, ability, and upside of a guy you take in the second or third round. Now, I still thought there were teams that might get desperate for a quarterback, and I thought that maybe he could still sneak into the first round, but I certainly understood when he wasn't a first round pick. After looking at the film and evaluating him, I didn't think he was a first round pick either. If I was a fan of one of those teams in the first round, I wouldn't want him to be my first round choice. I brought these thoughts to social media around that time. And then even more recently, after I said Jackson Dart was a better quarterback prospect. And a lot of you met that with a lot of skepticism, um, anger. You resorted to name calling, generally low IQ, knuckle dragging, casual football fan, low IQ behavior. I don't know why you guys go against such a football guru. I don't want to just call myself that, but compared to you guys, that's what I am. So I prepared some stats. So we have 5 starts of Dylan Gabriel and 5 starts of Shador Sanders. In Dylan Gabriel's 5 starts, we've seen him throw for 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 937 yards, and a 59.5 completion percentage. Shador, on the other hand, has thrown for 6 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 1,103 yards, and a 68 quarterback rating with 55.1% completion percentage. Now, the explanation behind Shador's struggles is Kevin Stefanski isn't a good coach, and Jerry Jeudy drops all of the balls, and the team isn't good, and he was thrown in there, and he didn't have any practice time. And even though he's been named a starter 6 weeks ago and has been practicing with the first team, his numbers are far inferior. They're inferior to Dylan Gabriel, whose numbers are not blowing me away, but I didn't think much of Dylan Gabriel in the first place. So my question to you all is, did Dylan Gabriel not deal with the same circumstances that Shador deals with in terms of playing for a bad franchise, a dysfunctional franchise, a coach who you all say isn't any good? Of course, you all say that coach also sabotages Shador Sanders, which is a crazy conspiracy theory. Kevin Stefanski is a 2-time Coach of the Year guy. He's won Coach of the Year twice. He spent decades building up his brand and reputation to coach in the NFL, to make millions. This is how he earns his money. To suggest that he would sabotage Shador and ultimately risk getting himself fired and not be a head coach anymore to make, I don't know, Kevin Stefanski's salary, 8, 9 million, 10 million. That's the going rate for top coaches, is absolutely ludicrous. That is crazy. Shame on you. Do better. Instead of you all relying on feelings and um, cheering for your personal faves, why don't we use logic? Why don't we look at the film? Because the film suggests Shador isn't very good. It's the same conclusion I came before the draft. I think Shador can be a bridge quarterback, a backup quarterback that comes in and wins you a few games, or a journeyman who goes to a team that is looking for their next quarterback in the draft. But I don't think Shador is this ultra talented guy. And I don't think the NFL cares that he's confident and brash. I think they care that he could play football. And from what I've seen, he doesn't play football very well. Because Dylan Gabriel doesn't play football very well, and Shador doesn't even play it as good as him. We can argue numbers, we can argue stats in a vacuum, that type of thing. But at the end of the day, you got to produce. There's no way more turnovers than touchdowns, multiple turnovers per game is good. Rookie or not, these are bad numbers. These are bad performances. People, we just got to deal with the obvious or the logic. Maybe Shador just isn't that good. Maybe Q was right. Since we're talking about quarterbacks, I got to talk about one of the guys who was one of my personal faves, Josh Allen. Incredible athlete, incredible talent, reigning MVP on a Buffalo Bills team that has been this close to getting to the glory, to finally giving that long suffering fan base a championship. As a kid, I watched the Buffalo Bills get there 4 times and get turned away 4 times. Twice by a dynasty, 2 other times by strong NFC East teams. So, as a Bears fan, as a fan that's been long suffering, I kind of feel for that base. I've kind of quietly rooted for them. This year, there will be no Pat Mahomes in the playoffs. There will be no Joe Burrow, even though Lamar Jackson can't beat Josh Allen in the regular season. The playoffs, he won't be there. The time is now for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills to emerge from the AFC, return to the Super Bowl, and win it all. I don't think we can coddle Josh Allen or give him any more passes. He's at the height of his game. He's at the peak of his abilities. This is the best opportunity the Buffalo Bills will have, maybe ever, because Pat is going to eventually come back. I don't know when. I don't know what level it'll be when he comes back. But let's assume that the Chiefs, who have built a dynasty and still have the same front office, still have the same quarterback, that they can regain their past glory. Let's assume the Ravens can finally get it right. And that next year in 2026, that the injuries subside and Lamar Jackson returns to MVP form. The time is now for Josh Allen. You got a bunch of babies in the AFC playoffs. You got Bo Nix. He hasn't won anything. You got Drake May. He hasn't been there. You got Trevor Lawrence. He's won one game. Jaguars are a young team. Who else do you have in the AFC? You got the Texans, who've had offensive struggles. You got Herbert, who hasn't won anything in the playoffs. There's no more excuses for Josh Allen. You got to go out there and win this year. Whether you go on the road, whether you're able to walk the Patriots down and get that home playoff game or get the number 1 seed. I don't even know if they can still get the number 1 seed. But Josh Allen and the Bills are out of excuses. Last quarterback I want to talk about is the great Pat Mahomes, who about 5 years ago, we watched Pat and Tom Brady battle it out in a Super Bowl. We were told we're watching the living GOAT versus the future GOAT. The living GOAT held up to his end of the bargain by beating the Chiefs and winning the Super Bowl for the Buccaneers, adding another feather to his storied career, his cap. Pat went home with a loss, reemerged, beat the 49ers twice in a Super Bowl, and got beat. We've been told Pat Mahomes is on a GOAT trajectory. When you look further into the numbers, Pat hasn't put up a dominant year since 2022. I'm pulling it up right now. That was a year when he threw for 5,000 yards, 41 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. The following year, 27 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, just over 4,000 yards. The year after that, 3,900 yards, 26 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. And this year before, tearing his ACL, 3,500 yards, 22 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. Again, he was amongst the league leaders in interceptions. The completion percentage hasn't been goaty. Um, yes, he has won two Super Bowls since then behind a strong defense and the first time a good running game. But if you're going to catch Brady, it's going to take more than mediocre seasons. It's going to take more than a couple Super Bowls. And right now, the Chiefs are at a crossroad. What I'm trying to say is that it's a time we reevaluate Pat Mahomes and the legacy. Is he chasing Tom Brady, or is he just another great quarterback? I'm looking at Pat Mahomes' career in the last few years and trajectory that it's at. It's looking like he doesn't belong in the conversation with Brady and Manning or Montana. Maybe he's on that tier with Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers. Rings aside, it hasn't been very dominant of Pat. And at 30 years old, coming off an ACL, looking at 3 years that are kind of meh. I mean, we're looking at completion percentage that's in the bottom 10%, quarterback rating that's in the bottom 10%. Is it time we reevaluate where we put Mahomes at in this GOAT chase? Because up until maybe this year, I feel like everybody's been saying Brady and Mahomes. We forgot about the Mannings and the Joe Montanas. Manning has 4 MVPs. Montana has 4 Super Bowls. He's 4-0 in a Super Bowl. He also has MVPs. We're heading into will be year 10 of the Pat Mahomes experience. If the football gods are kind to him, if he bounces back from this ACL, maybe we get another 9 years of Pat. But unless he has a Tom Brady resurgence after the ACL, I think we can put the Pat Mahomes GOAT talk on hold.
Thanks for listening to this latest episode from the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan Channel. Don't matter if you listen to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or watch it on Twitch or YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, share with a friend, hit the notification bell so you never miss a drop. And to all the guys from Chicago, we say three things: bear down, go Cubs go, and sell the team, Jerry.